Hello and welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. Today we will be looking at the Premier League fixtures and my predictions for this weekend's games. I hope you enjoy. If you do, feel free to leave a like, and also there will be a comment in the comments where you can just copy and paste the games and put your predictions in. So feel free to do that if you want to, but if you don't want to, then that's fine as well. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy. And this is the first game. So Southampton versus Bournemouth is tonight. And they are two sides that probably aims are to finish avoiding a relegation battle, in my opinion. Southampton are currently in 10th and Bournemouth are currently in 9th. So both have had a decent start to the season with 7 points each. So Bournemouth's first games, how many games have we played now? We've played 5 games. So they're 5 games, including a EFL Cup game as well. They drew 1-1 with Sheffield United. They beat Aston Villa 2-1. They lost to City 3-1. They went through in the Carabao Cup after beating Forest Green on penalties. Leicester City, they lost 3-1 and then beat Everton 3-1 at the weekend. So 3 of their opening 5 fixtures have ended 3-1. Twice in the reverse of Bournemouth and then once in favour of Bournemouth. So the 5 games for Southampton: 3-0 defeat to Burnley, a 1-2 defeat for Liverpool, so Liverpool won that one 2-1, a 2-0 win over Brighton, a 1-0 win over Fulham in the Cup, a 1-1 draw with Manchester United, and then a 1-0 win over Sheffield United. So overall, it's not been too bad for Southampton after a struggling start. Particularly that Burnley result was a really bad one, and I did worry for Southampton then. And a 2-1 defeat to Liverpool, they probably should have got a point from that one. Since then, 3 wins and 1 draw, including that Carabao Cup game. It's been a lot better from Ralph Hasenhüttl's men. I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go 1-1. I just can't separate them. I don't think there's a lot between them. Maybe Southampton will have home edge, but I think it'll be a draw. I think I'm going to go 1-1. That is the Friday night football game. Saturday we have 5 games, the first of which is a 12:30 kickoff between Leicester City and Tottenham Hotspur. Leicester City are currently in 5th place, with Tottenham now up to 3rd after a difficult start to the season for Tottenham. So Leicester's games are as follows. They started off with a game against Wolves and that drew 0-0. Another draw against Chelsea, 1-1. A 2-1 win over Sheffield United with Harvey Barnes scoring a screamer. I keep mentioning that. They drew with Newcastle but went through on penalties in the Carabao Cup. Beat Leicester 3-1 and then lost to Manchester United 1-0 last weekend. Rashford scoring a penalty. Tottenham's opening 5 games, including of course a Champions League game. So they beat Aston Villa 3-1, drew with City 2-2, lost to Newcastle 1-0 at home, played Arsenal and drew 2-2. They beat Crystal Palace 4-0, and then you were expecting, I thought, right, okay, they're going to be firing again. And then you went to Olympiacos, went 2-0 up and drew 2-2. So they've drawn 3 of their opening 6 games, 2-2. Against City, against Arsenal, against Olympiacos. I don't know how this one's going to go. They're both on the level points. They're both on 8 points. I'm going to go for Leicester City to win, I think. I think I'm going to go for Leicester because I just have a feeling that they'll beat Tottenham. Tottenham haven't been on the best on the road, in my opinion. Their only wins have come at home against Villa and against Crystal Palace. So I'm going to go for Leicester to win. I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester. That's the 12:30 kickoff. We have 3 games kicking off at 3 o'clock. The first of which is Burnley versus Norwich. So Norwich had an amazing win over City and lifted them into 13th place. Burnley are in 14th place with 5 points. There's just a point between these two sides. Not a lot between the two sides so far. Tottenham and Leicester are level on points. Bournemouth and Southampton are level on points. And then this game there's a point between them. And they're 13th and 14th respectively. So there's not a lot between the sides so far. So Premier League games for Norwich. They lost 4-1 to Liverpool. Newcastle, they won 3-1. 3-2 defeat against Chelsea. A 1-0 defeat to Crawley in the Carabao Cup. A 2-0 defeat to West Ham. And that amazing 3-2 win over champions Manchester City. Burnley's games are as follows. They won 3-0 on opening day against Southampton, a 2-1 defeat to Arsenal, a 1-1 draw with Wolves. They went out of the Carabao Cup to Sunderland, losing 3-1, a 3-0 defeat to Liverpool, and then a 1-1 draw with Brighton. I'm going to go for a Burnley win. I just think that Burnley at home, I think that they will really struggle Norwich against a very physical Burnley side. Burnley are doing okay. Norwich are doing much better than I expected them to do. However, both of their wins have come at home against Newcastle and against Manchester City. All the others have been defeats. So I'm going to go for a Burnley win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Burnley for that one. Everton play Sheffield United. So that's the next game. Everton are in 11th place with 7 points, and Sheffield United are in 15th place with 5 points. So not a lot between these two sides. Everton have had up and down form. They started off with a 0-0 draw against Crystal Palace. They won 1-0 against Watford, a 2-0 defeat to Aston Villa, a 4-2 win over Lincoln in the Carabao Cup, and then they played Wolves and won 3-2, and then a 3-1 defeat to Bournemouth last weekend. Sheffield United's games have been as follows: a 1-1 draw with Bournemouth, a 1-0 win over Palace, a 2-1 defeat to Leicester, 2-1 in the Cup against Blackburn, a 2-2 draw with Chelsea, which they'd be absolutely chuffed with, and then a 1-0 defeat to Southampton. So there's not a lot between the sides. Obviously, Everton have a much better squad than Sheffield United, but between points-wise, there's not a lot between it. There's only 2 points between it. However, Everton have got their victories have both come at home, I think. Both of their victories have come at home. And I said last week that I think that they struggle away from home. They've had 1 draw and 2 defeats in their opening 3 games at home, which isn't very good. But Everton at home have won both of their games, so I'm going to go for Everton to continue winning their games. I'm going to go. I'll go 3-1 to Everton. The final 3 o'clock game is Manchester City taking on Watford. Manchester City suffered that shock defeat to Norwich City, and this is 2nd versus 20th. So Watford have the least amount of points out of everyone. Manchester City have the second amount of points, most amount of points out of everyone. They've also scored the most goals with 16 already put into the back of the net. This could be a tough one for Watford. So let's have a look at the fixtures so far. A 5-0 win over West Ham, they started the campaign with. A 2-2 draw with Tottenham, a 3-1 win over Bournemouth, a 4-0 win over Brighton, and a 3-2 defeat to Norwich. But they bounced back with a win against Shakhtar Donetsk, 3-0. It looks like Fernandinho will be filling in at centre-back with Laporte and Stones both injured. Watford haven't had the best time of it so far this season. They've already sacked manager Javi Gracia and replaced him with Quique Sanchez-Flores, which is a former manager as well, which I thought was a very strange move at the time. But they have got a point so far since his arrival, and a good point as well. They lost 3-0 to Brighton, lost 1-0 to Everton, lost 3-1 against West Ham. They had a 3-0 victory over Coventry in the Cup, a 1-0 draw with Newcastle, and that's when Javi Gracia was sacked. And then they had Arsenal, and they were 2-0 down against Arsenal. Aubameyang scoring both goals, cleverly got one back, and then 10 minutes from time, a Pereira penalty made it 2-2. Very, very good point for Watford. I think Watford will lose this game. I think City will want to come out and prove that they are still, the best team in the country, and that's what they'll want to do against the Watford side that are really struggling. I don't think it'll be 5 or 6-0, but I think City will win about 3 goals, and I think they'll be very comfortable against Watford. So I'm going to go 3-0. The 5:30 game is Newcastle versus Brighton. Newcastle are in 18th place with 4 points so far, and Brighton are in 16th place with 5 points so far. So once again, not a lot between sides. Obviously, we're only a few games into the season. Newcastle have had a 1-0 defeat against Arsenal, followed by a 3-1 defeat to Norwich, and then a 1-0 win over Tottenham. They went out of the Carabao Cup to Leicester, a 1-0 draw with Watford, and a 3-1 defeat to Liverpool. Brighton's games have been as follows: a 3-0 win over Watford, a 1-0 draw with West Ham, a 2-0 defeat to Southampton. They had a player sent off. I think it was Aston was sent off in that game. They beat Bristol Rovers in the Carabao Cup, lost 4-0 to City, and then got a point against Burnley. And that was a late goal conceded as well. They'd have managed to win all 3 points in that game. I remember last season Brighton went there and won. I'm not sure how this one will go. I'm going to go 0-0. I don't think there'll be a lot between the sides. I don't think there's a lot between them. But if I had to put a bet on anyone to get the win, I would go with Brighton. But I'm going to go 0-0 for that one. I'm not expecting too many goals. Not expecting too much to happen in that game. On to Sunday's games, and I tell you what, whoever scheduled these fixtures are an absolute lunatic. There's 4 games kicking off. 2 at 2 o'clock and 2 at 4:30. All games are taking place in London. So you've got Crystal Palace, West Ham, Arsenal and Chelsea all at home. First of which is Crystal Palace versus Wolves. So Crystal Palace are currently in 12th place. They have had 7 points, 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats. They were, until Saturday, in the Champions League spots until that 4-0 defeat against Tottenham. Wolves are in 19th place, 3 draws and 2 defeats from their opening 5 games. It's not been the best start for them. They have had a few games in the Europa League, but we will focus on just the Premier League today. Started off with a 0-0 draw against Leicester, a 1-0 draw against Manchester United, a 1-0 draw against Burnley, and then 2 defeats, 1 to Everton 3-2, and then 5-2 it finished against Chelsea. They had a game in midweek on Thursday night against Braga, and they lost that game 1-0. Crystal Palace then. They started off with a 0-0 draw with Everton, a 1-0 defeat to Sheffield United. They went to Old Trafford and won 2-1. They went out of the Carabao Cup to Colchester, a 1-0 win over Aston Villa, and a 4-0 defeat to Tottenham. Palace have struggled at home in the last few seasons. Wolves have had a really poor start to the season. I don't think they'd be impressed with how they've done so far. I'm going to go for Wolves to win. I'm going to go 1-0 to Wolves. I don't know why. I just fancy Wolves. They've had a bad start to the season, but Crystal Palace's home form isn't the best, so I'm going to go for Wolves in that one. Next, we have West Ham and Manchester United. So Manchester United are in 4th place with 8 points from their opening 5 games. West Ham are in 8th place with 8 points from the opening 5 games. So Manchester United then, they started off with a 4-0 win over Chelsea, a 1-0 draw with Wolves, a 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace, a 1-0 draw with Southampton, a 1-0 win over Leicester, and then a 1-0 win over Aston on Thursday night. West Ham, their games are as follows. They lost 5-0 to Manchester City, but since then they are unbeaten. A 1-0 draw at Brighton, 2 wins over Watford and Norwich, with a Carabao Cup win over Newport sandwich between them, and a 0-0 draw with Aston Villa on Monday night. This one could go either way, but I really do fancy West Ham. They played on Monday, so they have a bigger rest than Manchester United, who played on Thursday. Manchester United form hasn't been the best away from home. They've drew their opening 2 Premier League games away from home against Wolves, against Southampton. Southampton had 10 men, so that's not the best start. So I'm going to go for a win to West Ham. I'm going to go 2-0 to West Ham. They lost at West Ham last season as well under Jose Mourinho. Arsenal versus Aston Villa next. Arsenal find themselves in 7th place with 8 points. Aston Villa are in 17th place with 4 points. Over the season so far, Villa opened up with a 3-1 defeat to Tottenham, and then a 2-1 defeat to Bournemouth, for a 2-0 win over Everton to get their first win of the season. They went to Crewe and won 6-1 in the Carabao Cup. They lost to Palace 1-0 and then drew 0-0 West Ham. Arsenal won against Newcastle 1-0, beat Burnley 2-1, and everyone was like, oh yeah, we're going to do it, we're going to win the league. Like, there was literally people on 6 or 6 ringing up saying we're going to win the league. Then they lost 3-1 to Liverpool, back down to earth. Drew 2-2 with Tottenham, which isn't a bad point. And then they drew 2-2 with Watford. They went to Frankfurt on Thursday, and Saka played an absolute massive role, scoring an absolute peach. And they won 3-0 against Frankfurt, which is a very, very good win indeed. I think there's only going to be one winner here. Arsenal will win this game. I'm going to go 3-0 to Arsenal. I think Arsenal will be very comfortable against Aston Villa. Final game is probably the game of the weekend, and that is Chelsea taking on Liverpool. Liverpool have won all 5 games so far this season in the Premier League. Chelsea have won 2, drawn 2 and lost 1 so far, and they are on 8 points and currently in 6th place. Over their 5 games in the Premier League, they've won 4-1 against Norwich, a 2-1 win over Southampton, a 3-1 win over Arsenal, a 3-0 win over Burnley, and a 3-1 win over Newcastle. So not too bad at all. I mean, that's the perfect start. Chelsea, they've been up and down. Lost 4-0 to Manchester United, a 1-1 draw with Leicester, a 3-2 win over Norwich, and then a 2-2 draw with Sheffield United, a 5-2 win over Wolves, and then that's the turning point, and then lose 1-0 to Valencia at home in the Champions League. I think Liverpool will go there and win. I don't see no reason why they can't beat Chelsea. Chelsea have had an up and down season so far. A heavy defeat and some really good away games against Norwich and against Wolves. So they've been scoring plenty of goals. But I think Liverpool will have far too much for Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea will be able to, cause an upset. Not an upset because that's disrespectful, but I don't think they'll be able to beat Liverpool. I think Liverpool are at the moment the most complete team in the world. City have got injuries, and Liverpool won the Champions League, so they'd probably be the most complete team in the world. So for me, I think Liverpool are going to win this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool, and they maintain their 100% start to the season. There aren't any games on Monday, so that is your preview and predictions for this weekend's fixtures. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, of course, if you are new. Get your predictions in down in the comments as well. I'd love to hear all of them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry it's up a bit late. I just didn't want to record and be like, oh well, we don't know what's going to happen in Europe. So I thought I'd leave it until Friday. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.